You're about to submit an offer on a house that might get multiple offers. Sure, it could be a little scary, but I've got some tips for you on how to win that offer coming up next. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dzienis with eXp Realty, and thanks so much for tuning into my channel today. So if you want updates on Bergen County, New Jersey, and you want to know why I love it as well as so many other people, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me to get weekly updates on anything and everything Bergen County, New Jersey. So today I'm talking about multiple offer situations. And with multiple offers, it's really important to have some tips and ideas of how your offer can stand out, especially in a really competitive environment. Why do multiple offers happen? Could happen for a couple reasons, so let me tell you why. First reason is high buyer demand and low inventory. So if mortgage rates are really low like they are right now, and this is the summer of 2020, you're gonna have a lot of people looking for a home. And we have an unusual situation right now with the pandemic as I'm recording this, so we have an even more challenging situation because there's not a lot of inventory on the market. So what we have right now is a seller's market, and the sellers are in control of how properties are being listed. And let's be honest, during this pandemic, a lot of folks are not feeling comfortable putting their house on the market. So we've got a perfect storm for buyers, right? They're ready, willing, and able to purchase, but there's not a lot of inventory right now. So just because we're in a pandemic right now doesn't mean you can't use these tips in any situation, especially if you're going into a multiple offer bidding war. Another reason why there could be multiple offers on a home, you're looking at a house that has great amenities, nice updates, and it's really priced well. Guaranteed that house is gonna get multiple offers in a very competitive market. So if you're about to submit an offer in a multiple offer situation, these are my 9 tips to help you in that whole process to help you win that bid. Tip number 1, get pre-approved. Sometimes you might hear of a pre-qualification, but pre-approval is really important when you're looking to secure a home, especially in a multiple offer situation. So pre-qualification is really just kind of the introductory phase of getting approved for a mortgage. A pre-qualification just gives some insights into a buyer's background. A pre-qualification doesn't really get into the background of someone's financial situation. Now, a pre-approval is much more involved and it goes much deeper in someone's financial situation. What happens with a pre-approval is a lender will pull your 3 credit reports, they'll ask for pay stubs, they'll look at bank statements, they'll look at W-2s, all of your financial background and history. The other factor is confirming your employment status. Having that pre-approval letter is a much stronger situation to be in, especially if you're going into a multiple offer situation. All right, tip number 2 is exploring your financial options. So when it comes to financing a home, there's a lot of options that are out there, some great programs that might be beneficial to you if you're looking to purchase a home. And sometimes based on your situation and just your background, you might qualify for an FHA loan or a VA loan. And with these programs, sometimes they can be a little bit more strict than a conventional loan. The restrictions that a VA loan or an FHA loan might have include a deeper look at your ratio for debt to income, the actual amount of your down payment, and there might be a limit to the amount of seller concessions you can receive as a buyer with one of these programs. Additionally, FHA and VA loan appraisers will actually cite more issues with a home just because of the strict guidelines that both of these loan programs have. So they might point out more repairs that might be needed on that property in comparison to a conventional loan. So the tip here is if you explore your options, is it possible for you to consider maybe getting a conventional loan? Because that could put you in maybe a higher position in regards to your offer. But listen, if it's not possible, it's not possible, but it's worth a shot, and you can discuss that with a trusted lending partner. All right, tip number 3 is being flexible when it comes to contingencies. So what the heck does that mean? Basically, if you want that house badly enough, would you be willing to waive any situations or scenarios that might pop up with the appraisal or with the inspection? So if you do consider waiving the appraisal, this could be a good option in regards to trying to get that home and working with the seller. What you're telling the seller is, listen, if it doesn't appraise the house, because I do have a mortgage, I'm willing to just put in more cash to possibly make up the difference. So that could be a great position for you to be in. Something a little bit more risky, a little bit scarier, but it really helps with the seller, because they're gonna love this, is that you might waive the inspection or waive any items that pop up in the inspection to really move the process along. You wanna know what you're buying. And the inspection report is going to give you everything about that house, especially any issues that might need some attention. Sure, it's great for the seller, but for yourself, it's putting yourself at higher risk. So I don't know if I would necessarily agree to that. You're still entitled to get an inspection. I would still get one done. But being flexible with these possible contingencies up front, you're telling your seller, hey, I'm serious, I want this house. All right, tip number 4 is don't lowball. So some people have felt if they lowball, they might be able to get that house at a discounted price. Well, guess what? A house that is priced well, has great amenities, and is really appealing to buyers who are looking right now and hungry to purchase a house, your lowball offer is not gonna go through. It's not gonna make sense. So you have to be realistic in this environment, whether it's COVID-19 or you're in a multiple offer situation. Consider how high should you make your offer. The best thing you can do is work with your realtor. Get that comparative market analysis going, have that realtor check into the market, look to see what's sold over the past few months, and go in as strong as you can with that strong offer. All right, so tip number 5, consider homes that are actually below your maximum budget. So sure, it could really be appealing to go for that house at your maximum budget. It's gonna have everything that you want, right? But if you're going into a multiple bid situation, you might wanna look at some homes that are below that number so you have some cash to have some flexibility. And if you go in a little bit lower, are you willing to put in a little bit of work that maybe that kitchen needs an upgrade? You might have funds to be able to do that if you consider prices that are below your max. All right, tip number 6. I guess I could do it this way too. Tip number 6, can you make a larger down payment? Like I said at the beginning of the video, there's lots of opportunities for you to maybe put less down, but in a competitive multiple offer situation, you might want to consider raising how much you're putting down for that house. Consider possibly at least 20% if that's possible for you. But if you're able, maybe you can go even higher. And by you going higher, what does that show the seller? Having a larger down payment can give that seller some reassurance that you're disciplined and you're serious about that home and purchasing the home. All right, tip number 7. How willing are you to work with the seller? And what that means is how flexible are you willing to be in working with the seller to get the house to close? So what are some things to do if you want to work with the seller? Put a quicker closing date into your offer. Sometimes that can be appealing to the seller. Or maybe the seller might need a few days after closing just to get final items out of the house. If that's the case, go ahead and put that in the contract that you're about to send if you're going into a multiple offer situation. Also, make sure that your realtor is talking to the seller's realtor as well. If the two of them are really partnering, you probably can get some understanding and motivation of the seller. And that could be good information for you as the buyer, and maybe you're willing to make some concessions. If those concessions really can help the seller, it might make the difference for you to win that offer in comparison to maybe the highest number that they're given. It really could provide less headaches and more opportunity for them to sell and for you to get into that home quickly. Okay, tip number 8 when it comes to winning that multiple bid situation, maybe consider having an escalation clause in your contract. So how does an escalation clause work? This clause allows you to increase your suggested purchase price. And why would you want to do that? It could be a great way for you to avoid getting outbid through the process. So there's 3 important factors to an escalation clause if you're including that in an offer. First off, the seller should provide proof that another offer came in that was higher than your offer. Another part to include in an escalation clause is what is your limit? So let's say another offer came in at $400,000 and you have an escalation clause of $5,000. And what you're telling the seller is based on this higher bid, you're willing to go up another $5,000. So the maximum bid for yourself with that escalation clause could be $405,000. A third factor to the escalation clause is having a price cap. That's basically telling the seller how high you're willing to go on an offer for that home. So consider what your escalation clause is, how high you're willing to go over the highest offer, but also what is your maximum amount that you're willing to consider to purchase that home for. So overall, what could be really appealing for the seller if you're going to use an escalation clause, there's not going to be any back and forth. Everything is written out on paper. You're basically saying, here's my max amount, what I'm willing to give you. But you're putting everything out on the table ahead of time, which could be appealing to the seller, just really to help the process along. All right, tip number 9, my final tip, if you're going into a multiple offer situation, go in with a strong offer. You know, I've been in many situations with buyers who think, well, the highest number is going to win the bid, isn't it? And that's not always the case. If you consider the other tips that I was talking about prior, it really could make your offer very strong and appealing to the seller. Some of the questions you want to ask yourself is, is it worth overbidding? If you want the property badly enough, do you have the accommodations, do you have the means to make that happen? And would overbidding make sense for that market? You know, there's no crystal ball for real estate, so 5 years down the road, if you're looking to sell, or 10 years, or whatever it might be, we don't know what the market's going to be like then. And the other thing to consider is if you're not paying with cash and you're going to have a mortgage, that house is going to have to appraise somehow. And if you don't have extra cash that might be needed if you're looking to overbid, where's the money going to come from to make up for the difference? So really think through those scenarios to see, does it make sense to overbid on that property? You still can go in strong with these other tips that I had mentioned in this video. Alright, so there you go, 9 tips to go in with a nice strong offer. You know, purchasing a house is so exciting, it's absolutely exciting, but it can be daunting and scary if you go into a multiple offer situation. But consider using these tips. Talk to your realtor about using these tips to see if they might help if you're going into a competitive bid. And again, if you have any questions about Bergen County or Northern New Jersey, my information is below. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. So I want to thank you guys again for watching. I'm Bob Dzienis with eXp Realty. So if you want to learn more about Bergen County and Northern New Jersey, go ahead and click that like button for me. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll have new updates every week about anything and everything Bergen County, New Jersey. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next week with my next video.